What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about a handful of Grayscale trusts, and then we're also going to be talking about an Osprey trust for Solana and a Bitcoin trust for iShares. Going over GSOL and OSOL for How 2.0 crypto, BCHG and GBTC for Alexander John, and IBIT for Alexander John as well. Without any further ado, guys, let's get into this. That's the order that we're doing it. So looking at this thing on let's go on a weekly. Looking like you've got an ascending triangle here. Very nice pattern for sure. Could you go lower? Absolutely. Do you have to go dramatically lower? No. Could you break out bearishly? Yes, you could. You absolutely could. It is possible. But you don't have to, you know. I don't like this chart. It's just so weird looking to me. I am in log. GSOL, Grayscale Solana Trust. I don't think Solana existed all the way back here. It's kind of weird, isn't it? Right? Like what was this trust before? I don't know. Ever since it's like Solana's been around. Let's see. Let's actually look it up. I had an uploading error. That's why I was looking at this. When was Solana created? Yes, 2017, and that would make sense because 2017 is when this thing got all weird. So basically all this part is just something else. It must have been something else before Solana existed and they just converted it or whatever. But low to high here, I mean, is it possible you could go to your 382 all the way down at $58? Sure. You're at 156 now? Absolutely, you could. You really could, especially if Solana dumps out from here. And I think Solana has a lot of downside to go. But let's actually put Solana on here, SOL. Get a look at it. Logarithmic size. Let's see. Come on now. I'll make it a candle. I want to be able to see both. There we go. I mean, I think this is a false pattern because I think Solana does want to pull back lower. This to me does look like a false pattern. I would bet. See, isn't that weird? It won't go back. Is it because it's on Coinbase maybe? That might be why. Anyways, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing pulled back. That's all I'm trying to say. Probably, relatively speaking, you would go to 75, maybe all the way down to 40 or even $34, somewhere around there, but lower nonetheless. It is a bullish pattern, but don't be swayed by it, you know. Daily RSI doesn't look friendly. Weekly RSI looks bullish, but rolling over. It really could be rolling over right now. Once you break out of this trend, it'll be definite. Like if you get anywhere below 55, it's on to the downside probably, and you break that low especially. But that's my opinion on GSOL. Let's get on to OSOL, Osprey Solana Trust. A little bit different of a look, but at least it didn't come into existence in 2001. Low to high. I got thrown off by that, man. $45, $18, potentially down to $13.55. All those numbers are possible. I very much do believe you'll probably go below $50. Probably even below $45, but much past that, maybe not, right? Could you go all the way back to 18 or 13.55? Absolutely you could. Is that a huge drop from here? Yes, absolutely it is, but at a minimum $45 is what I would think. 45.57 technically. That is OSOL. A little bit easier. Maybe you find support at $56. I don't know. Maybe you do. But yeah, because that's like the relative low versus the all-time low. The relative low might hold some significance. Who knows? But that is OSOL. Let me get this real quick. Yeah, there's decent areas of support around that 40 to 52 area, so you really could find support over there. But enough of that. Let's move on to BCHG. BCHG, haven't talked about it in a few days. Let's see, on the weekly, you're only down 3% this week. It's going to be Wednesday tomorrow. Oh, nice, you had a green day today, 4% up. Yesterday you were down 7%, a little bit. working your way down. You're just working your way down. Yesterday you had, not yesterday. It is today still, in my opinion. This day is what I mean by yesterday. This red day here, you did have your lowest daily close that you've had since December. So just kind of a testament to the idea that you are moving lower, right? Makes sense. You've got these lower highs coming in. You're probably going to set a lower low at some point. I do think you're going to move lower, but it's not going to be just a straight line down. In fact, I wonder what we're doing as far as this goes real quick. I'm going to draw a couple lines. I just want to see like that, and then maybe a line that's like better fit to this whole kind of range with like a lot more touch points. You are still holding this line as support. That will probably give, and then you have this as potential support, but I very much do think BCHG is going lower. Yeah, still holding all those little trend lines. Low to high here, your minimum target is all the way at $1.78, and you probably do go a little bit below that. Potentially, I mean, you could go lower, but I would think $1.78 probably stands to reason as a decent area. You know, bottom to top here, you went below your 382 whenever you bounced, and then you started moving up. Bottom to top here, a little bit below your 382. All I'm predicting is the exact same thing you've been doing, right? Looking past the idea of this price trending up like this, right? That wasn't a straight line, but you saw the straight lines earlier. You know what I'm going for. Looking past that and just measuring on a fib basis what you've done, you know, statistically speaking, after seeing a big move up, pulling back to your 382 is a very common maneuver. Do you have to go to your 61869? No, you don't have to. You could. You absolutely could. I just don't expect that personally. But something around $1.78, you're at 324 now, nearly a 50% drop, makes sense to me. You probably do go a little bit lower than the 382 as you have both times before. And what's a little bit lower than that? You know, right there, weekly closing lows right there at about $1.66. Could you even go to $1.50? Sure, but lower nonetheless is what I think you're doing. Is it going to be a straight line? No. But all in all, I think you are going lower. I very, very, very much doubt you go above this high. Could you go up higher from here in the meantime? Sure. Could you go up to, 324? Could you go up to 370? Sure. But you're not going to go above that high. Very, very much doubt it. And that's all I got for you. This head and shoulders pattern, it's looking good, though I got to say, generally speaking, in my experience, the right shoulder is not normally bigger than the left shoulder, right? You can just see how it does look a little bit bigger. But generalities don't really mean anything to be, I mean, they do, but results are what means the most. So if this thing breaks out, you get that same kind of standard head and shoulders breakout, whatever at that point, right? And maybe this part is not part of the right shoulder. Maybe this is part of the breakout down, and at which case you would probably continue to move down rather rapidly, you know, kind of drawing a circle around the left shoulder here, drawing a circle around the right shoulder. Those are pretty, you know, the right shoulder is a little bit smaller than the left shoulder, or they're pretty much the same, you know, so that kind of makes sense to me. But anyways, that's more theory. That's not like anything that's been identified as a rule. That's just more off of something that I've noticed as experience, as an experienced trader. The right shoulder in a head and shoulders pattern generally is smaller, generally. Because why? Because you look to break out quicker, essentially, is like my thoughts. Like whenever you're ready to break out, you've done all the accumulating, you've done all the pattern movements, you did your left shoulder, you did your head, now you're at the right shoulder, you're ready to make things move. And in my experience, from what I've seen, right shoulders tend to be, if they're not very equal, like pretty damn equal, they are smaller. They're smaller. So little something to throw in your repertoire. See if you notice the same thing over your years or days or weeks of trading, because I certainly have. Let's move on to GBTC, and then we'll finish this up with IBIT. GBTC, Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, looking ferocious. Actually, kind of looks like it wants to go up, but I know better than that, right? Maybe I don't. Maybe I think I know better, and I will be wrong. Very bullish RSI on the weekly. This is a really bullish RSI, man. Like, truthfully. You could come a little bit lower and still hold this bullish RSI too. Bouncing off the overbought zone like this, like, you're very resilient, but let's be fair. You've been in the overbought zone now for 16 weeks. That's a long time, man. Without getting out of it, how have you done before? You know, here, Not 16 weeks, it was 11 weeks. Here, you know, overall you were in it for a while, but you went in and out of it, right? You had breaks, you had little breaks. And even then, that was a 17-week period, and you came out of it way sooner than that. Not even close, not even close. Yeah, this is the longest amount of time you've been in the overbought zone in the RSI. And you're not continuing. For out of that 16 weeks, right, basically over half of that time you've been stagnant. You had a fake out to the upside and you've been stagnant. So, no, I don't think you're going to continue moving up, actually. I don't. You look kind of like look at this concavity, man. Right? Like that. If this was a bottoming pattern, it would look so beautiful, right? If it was inverted, like this kind of look is beautiful. So you probably have topped out. You're probably going to come back down. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? Well, it'll probably start once you get out of the overbought zone. It might happen like the same week that you get out of the overbought zone. That the move down might be what generates it, but you're probably going to move. You're at 38.47 now. You're probably at least going to move down to 28.70, but probably likely around $20 is where you're going. Here you are at 38 now, so probably around $20 makes sense to me. Does that mean Bitcoin's going to drop like 50%? No, it could, but no, probably not. Let's see what you're doing on a macro kind of fib. Cycle high to cycle low. Well, that's not the cycle high, but that's the high that sent you down. 886, bro. You tipped it. $25 is your 618. So if you don't go down to $20, maybe you hold 25.66 or somewhere around that area. You could go a little bit below it. You could go a little bit higher than it. Sure. You know, you found resistance at your 382, but you went above it. You found resistance at your 0.5, but you went above it. The 886, you very well did tip it, but that's your 618. Look at where the support is before. Come back, test previous areas of support as support. It makes sense to me, man. Yeah, that's probably what you're going to do. Not only that, but let's just see, you know, if you kind of drew this in accordance, like, maybe not. Maybe the time for that's past, actually. I don't know. Come on. Yeah, I don't know. So who cares? Probably down to that line is what I think. Anywhere from, let's just say, $26 to $20 is where you're going for GBTC. Let's move on to IBIT and finish this bad boy up. IBIT, iShares Bitcoin Trust. You've dropped ass, man. No RSI because you're so brand new. Looking bullish on that daily? No, not really. Yeah, you probably moved down too. It's a big initial drop there. You had, I mean, kind of a dead cat bounce, but look at this, right? You're right at your 382, showing some serious turbulence there. You probably do go lower. If you don't form a double bottom, which I doubt you do, but you could, but if you don't form a double bottom, what you're more likely to do, in my opinion, would be bottom to low, or bottom to high there. You're going to go to your 1272 to 1618, being that this is a small kind of range to base it off of, which that's not saying much because this is so new, it's hard to do TA on. I'm glad it's based on Bitcoin because we can at least have some kind of judgment on that, and I do think Bitcoin's going lower. But what I'm trying to say is this is, in my opinion, hard to say because there's not really a whole lot going on, but this is probably a small fib range. You could see deeper extensions. The minimum expected targets are always 1618 to the 1272, that area, right? Heavy emphasis on the minimum targets always being the 1272. You know, there are certain times where you look past that, but almost always that's like the first area to look. But this is one of those times where I would think you do actually break through this area. You could see anything from the 1886 to the 2618, which would lead you down to like 1970, maybe all the way down to 1790. It's kind of a reverse, right? 1977, 1790. But that's ultimately where I think you're going, somewhere in this range, probably below $20, yet probably above $17 is my thoughts. Here you are at 24.60 now. That's all I got, guys. So if you liked the video, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more. I need to be better about saying hit that like button in the middle of the videos. It's that little thumbs up button down there, man. It helps the channel grow, helps, you know, push the videos out to other people that may or may not want to see this stuff. And yeah, that's, you know, it helps me out, you know. Take the time to make these videos. I'm not going to say that it's the least you could do. The least you could do is watch it. Thank you for watching it. You know, I really appreciate it. But if you want to take it a step further and hit that like button, it really is appreciated. Subscribe if you want to see more content. Thank you all for coming. I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.